Matt. Welcome to the show.
Hi, yeah, honored to be here.
So I usually ask guests that haven't been on before to kind of give us your backstory and introduce yourself. Let us know how you ended up here.
Yeah, my name is Matt, and basically I got into regenerative soil and bought a microscope and didn't see much microscopy online. So ended up getting this set up because I already had a full frame camera. Took a little bit of work finding the right tube to expand the light out of the tube and get it to fit. But then I had some really good microscopy and started a YouTube channel. And yeah, since then I've taken Matt Powers' course in regenerative soil. And yeah, just happy to share my experience in the regenerative soil and using a microscope in the home garden.
Nice. What were you or what do you do for work?
I'm actually IT. I own just a little tiny IT company here in town.
Nice.
Yeah. So
that's a little bit of a jump from IT to soil, but we're glad to have you do it.
You
did it.
Have a bit of the troubleshooting brain, which always comes out well for looking at problems in the soil and seeing
Have you done
the bigger picture?
Have you done much field work outside of perhaps your garden and stuff?
Not much, just a little bit. A couple of places around town, just mostly hobby.
Okay.
And just enjoy doing it.
That's awesome. I mean, that was a hard part when I got involved in it. It was very depressing because every time I went out for a client to look at their property and what I was up against, there was very little life in the soil. I would never see protozoa or nematodes. So at the beginning it was like very frustrating. But then I was fortunate enough to get involved with a guy, James Satillo, who had an existing business installing compost extracts on large-scale government, city, town, county, parks, recreation projects, restoration projects. And that's where I began to start to see a lot more life in the soil because he would apply it using a GOT brewer. Although that still wasn't wonderful in the engineered soils because the water just ran right through the soil. It's 99% sand. And that's when we got involved. I make a product that's basically a biologically active humic acid. So it just bonds everything together. And then we could see fungi, protozoa, as well as nematodes. So it was like, phew, all right, we're okay here, people. So why don't you go ahead and pull up something if you have a slide ready, and let's take a look at what you got.
Yeah, let's see. Let me get focused in here. All right, actually, let me hit the %. Share screen. All right, so I'm sharing my screen, and we'll get dialed in together here. All right, so first we're gonna do our focus. See where we're at. We're at 100x. Oh, that's pretty close. So now we'll go over to the other focus. Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
Maybe turn the contrast, the light down just a little. There you go.
Yeah, I'm just trying to focus it up just a little bit on the microscope first. That's looking pretty good. And then I got all these other adjustments over here on the side, so I can do my I gotta click on the right side. So I could do my ISO adjustments. Let's go down to 640. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Anyway, so this is my garden bed soil. This was I probably built this raised bed like maybe 5 years ago before I really got into regenerative soil and just got a random local soil. So it was topsoil from who knows where.
Yep.
So it hasn't been doing the best, but it does all right. and trying to rebuild it. And it's definitely getting better and better every year. And, to my shame, when I first built the bed, I was 100% into organics and put a ton of the bottled nutrients in there. So been seeing, a lot of these, or especially the smaller chunks like you see over here. Once we zoom in, we're just at 100x right now. But once we zoom in, we can see all just the clear crystals that I noticed built up over time. And
so those little black and brown clumps are what we call micro aggregates. And so
so we're getting much more micro aggregates and not these little. Can you see my mouth? Yeah, like the little clear bits is what I really saw build up, and these big clumps, were not as plentiful as they are now. So since I switched to regenerative soil practices, the aggregation and everything is looking way better.
Yeah, it is.
But seeing a couple of strands, but haven't noticed any really. Well, we got a couple of little possible fungal strands in there.
Do you want to zoom in on them?
Yeah, I want to go in on. Put this one over in the center. 400x is much more fun anyway. And now we got to adjust our light. I may have to open this up just a little. There we go. And focused. Yeah, so definitely, as you can see, 400x is where you want to do most of your work.
Agreed.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd say looking like something else, but yeah, let's see if we can find any fungi in here. But my fungal population seems to have been on the decline.
Have you added anything to it?
We did. Oops. Sorry, I just knocked over my microphone. My bad.
Oh, you're good. What fun would it be without a little bit of technical difficulties, right?
There we go. That'll work better. I can reach all the controls now. But I've just done a JMS. I had a bit of something's kicking things around over here. Little flagellate spinning around in a circle.
I can't see it.
Right in this. I saw it for a second.
It's funny is
yeah, I saw it too.
We have this ongoing conversation about when you do find like flagellates specifically, they always run and hide.
Yeah,
we laugh and say, "Oh, they can see the big eyeball looking down on them." They're like,
looking down on them. They're always just like they zip right out of the frame.
Yep, yeah, or they bury themselves under the organic matter, one or the other.
So you got a fungal hyphae hiding over here, but
there you go.
See if we can find any more.
Yeah, I've been playing around with fish hydrolysate lately and having some really interesting plumes of. They're probably yeasts because they're white and fuzzy, similar to what you would see in a IMO collection box.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of have these like little heads on them. I sent some pictures to Craig today. As a matter of fact, I could send them to Ken. Ken, if I send these to you, can you just bring them up?
Found 2 fungal spores, one right here.
Yep,
one right
I can.
there.
Cool. You know what? Zoom in on the spores because that's always fun for the clients or the participants to look at.
This is about as far as I can go with the camera setup being at 400x. We could we could do 600x, so we get a little bit closer. I wonder actually if I could use my magnification right now. Yeah, I can use the magnification, but
There's that spore.
Yep.
And let's see, compared to a bacteria, that actually might be a mycorrhizae spore because that's big.
Yeah, it's a decent sized one.
Yeah, I think it has to be 50, 55 micron is or bigger for the I can't send the message. Damn it. Got too greedy, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to send you a couple different batches.
No. That's decently large. Not super dark, but fungal hyphae. Yeah, I see a lot of these spores. The football-shaped spore.
Yep, footballs. Yep.
Yep. Oh, constantly seeing those. Those are usually another kind of round, even darker one up here too.
Well, the one in the center of the screen looks like it's like a light brown. And those, you know what? Those usually are saprophytes because they do come in so many different colors.
Mm.
All right, Ken, I emailed it to you. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'll give you some context.
Oh, there we go. Oh, we just had a quick moving something come across the screen. Let's see. I think
did it roll in a straight line?
Small amoeba in there. Can't quite tell. Yeah, definitely seeing a lot more aggregation in the soil. And there's a lot of bacteria.
Yep. And this is, what are you growing in here?
I got it's a pretty large, just single bed. It's probably 4 feet wide by about, I don't know, 16 feet long.
Okay.
So I got some corn, I got peas, cucumbers, some tomatoes, and peas definitely seem to do the best. The tomatoes are doing okay. I'm getting some pretty nice, tasty tomatoes, but it's, I definitely know I'm far from a thriving tomato plant.
Well, tomato plants are heavy feeders. So you really have to supplement them with some form of nitrogen, whether it's a manure or, like a feather meal or something like that. But because you have such high bacterial level, you can pretty much use any organic fertilizer, any organic nitrogen source. So soy, feather meal pellets, blood's super fast acting, although some people have issues with blood meal. So yeah, I would suggest you just pound them with some nitrogen because you've got the biological activity. There you go. There's a nice hyphae.
Yeah.
That's always the issue with organic fertilizers is that they've got a real bad rap because the landscapers don't understand that if you don't have a healthy soil biological community, that they can't break those things down. They'll just sit on the soil surface and oxidize.
Yeah.
Because you've got such a nice thriving system, I would definitely encourage you to do that on your tomatoes.
Yeah.
And maybe the corn too.
Yeah. So this I would say would be a saprophytic fungi just because it's clear. It's not super ununiform. It's kind of the same width throughout, but I would definitely say it would be a saprophyte instead of a mycorrhizal fungi.
So can you is that the 60?
Yeah, we're at 400x. We could do the digital zoom.
Yeah, try the digital zoom, and the reason why is let's look for some septi or maybe even a nucleus.
Yeah, I couldn't see any. Let's see if I can get. Well, now we can kind of go along. I wonder what is 1x better. Yeah. Yeah, off is there, 1x. Wish I could go like slightly left, but right there,
Yeah, that looks like one.
that looks like one.
Yep, agreed.
So I feel like I've noticed that usually with the saprophytes, the septae are more spaced out. Just from like when you see all the oops. Yeah, actually it's way too hard to move around like this. I was
Yeah.
trying to move with the microscope. It's way easier with the arrows. If I hold, will it go? No, it won't. But yeah, definitely plenty of bacteria in there.
Agreed.
All right. We usually see about one nematode or at least a rotifer or something, usually when I look at this
Very
bed.
good. What's that? That looks like hyphae.
Oh yeah, we got a couple little pieces over here.
There you go. Bam.
Hmm.
We call those Walking Dead, unfortunately, because if they don't have at least a couple sections of hyphae or septae, it's hard to believe that they'll survive. You know, and they usually get broken up when you're mixing up the sample. But it's a good indicator that they're there, right?
Yeah.
And they still add to the necromass overall.
The more diversity, the better.
Yeah. That might be an amoeba. Hard to tell.
Right there.
Yeah.
No, it's looking more like a
Aggregate or
yeah, more like just a piece of mineral or sand.
So do you know what remineralization is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit. The premise of it, anyway.
Yeah, that's what a healthy compost system will actually do is remineralize a lot of the nutrients in a easier form for the bacteria to break down, unlike the sand, silt, and clay that has to be broken down for the plant to uptake. When during biogeochemical reactions, the minerals actually become more available, which is good. It means you have a good nutrient cycling system happening.
Yeah, it's nice being right here on the water because I have access to kelp and any. I always like in my JMS, I'll put or doing a
Cheeto. Nobody's
a EM extension. I'll always just add a little bit of salt water right from the river, just for a little bit, extra.
Where are you? Where?
I'm in Massachusetts.
Where in Mass?
The South Coast, a little town called Westport, actually.
I know it well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I worked all over this New England, the state of Massachusetts. I used to live in Sherburne, then Millis, and then Medway before I moved to Connecticut. But Westport, cool. Beautiful. Yeah. Saltwater farms all over the place. Tito, quiet. Nobody's here.
Looks like we got two odd things right there in the middle. Two amoebas splitting, maybe.
Oh yeah. Can you zoom in? That could be them. We call them kissing amoebas because it looks like they're kissing, but in reality, they're dividing. Now you got to find it again.
Yeah, now I got to find it again. I thought I was right in the middle. Just kind of circle around. Oh, is that them? All right, back out. All right, and now I was moving around and I don't see them. Where were they? Yeah, this is the other problem with the microscopy.
Oh yeah.
Another nice fungal hyphae. Something wiggling around in there. Where are the two?
There it is, right there. Up.
Oh, there it is.
You know what they ought to do is give you a little
Yeah.
like you see on the or X, like you see on the video game, so you know where you're shooting to.
I think this will do it. Yeah, I think I can by doing that. There we go.
There you go. Nice.
Hmm.
Well, that's either a spore or it is dividing amoeba. It's hard to say. Can you see any little things in its stomach, like little bacteria or little dots?
Kind of. That one's wiggling on top to the side. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, it is hard to tell. You know, there's so much we have yet to really identify in microscopy because it's just ridiculous how much diversity there is and how little it has been explored.
Let's see what else we can find here. Oh, there's a big fungal hyphae. With some nice clear septi in it.
Nice.
So there is some in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the other crazy part is it's like you take 1 mil of soil and you take one drop out of that 1 mil after you've added 9 mils of water or 9.5.
And then this is everything it's still this dense. So it's like, yeah, you almost got to imagine in the soil, it's 5 times more populated than the way we're looking at it.
Way more, at least 10 times because you're adding 10 milliliter or 9.5 milliliters of water.
Some other fungi. I'm surprised we haven't stumbled across an amoeba or a nematode or anything else swimming around in there.
Well, that's the thing. It takes time with microscopy. I mean, I usually spend about half an hour on each slide. And I typically do 2 slides of each extraction, just so, first of all, in case I screw one up when I'm dropping the slide on it, and other times because like I've looked at one slide and I haven't seen jack, I go to the other slide and it's like, oh my God, there you go. There's now there's all of the, you know, soil food community. So
this is a very busy part of the slide.
Yep.
But looks like I might have a diatom in there.
Yeah, dude. You're getting those probably from the
from the kelp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
I see quite a few of them. Some of them look really weird, like with the little DNA twisted strand in the middle of them.
Okay. Yeah, diatoms are another extremely understudied organism that creates 50% of all the oxygen on the planet. People don't realize that how important they are, and as we hurt our oceans and knock back the populations of the biology, you know, the end result could very well be pretty devastating if we don't start taking care of it and stop polluting the oceans. Have you ever seen the blooms from NASA satellites showing where the glaciers are melting and pouring water in up in Iceland and northern parts of Canada? It's beautiful to see, you know, these incredible blooms from space.
Let's see a lot of fungal spores, but it could just be because I put both root-wise and advancing eco-agriculture mycogenesis on there. That's the 2 inoculants that I've put down to try to increase the amount of fungi in here.
And what are those inoculants made of?
Mm. The root wise is a mix of a whole bunch of stuff, not just mycorrhizal. I forget the exact consortium of that, but the mycogenesis post is a couple of things, but it's mostly the AMF, the arbuscular mycorrhizal fungi.
Got you. Well, it's almost impossible to see mycorrhizae unless you either stain it
Yeah,
or use epifluorescent.
yeah.
Although I have seen one, Efren identified one down at the bridge project, which was wild. I was like,
Mm.
wow. I didn't think that was even possible. He goes, yeah, it's pretty rare that you see
Mm.
that. But he pulled that sample from some oak trees that had been, or oak shrubs, or seedlings, I should say, that had been inoculated with all the mushrooms that were collected the last 2 winters. So it's not surprising because he had such diversity that you can see stuff like that. But it was only one. It was only one small hyphae, though.
Mm. Yeah, that's
Shh. Nobody's here. Stop it. Gotten all loud in your old age.
it's kind of interesting looking. It's almost like a cocoon, but
Is that something moving behind it?
Mhm.
Or am I seeing things?
down on the lower level.
I'm going to have to get some more powerful glasses.
Well, there's an amoeba stuck in there, and something's moving this around.
Yeah, you have to be so patient when you're doing
Yeah,
public
Mhm.
counts.
yeah. I always like to just video it and then go back to it instead of counting. So then you could just look at one video and compare it to the next. Yeah, that looks like had them in focus there for a second. Got a little protozoa in there.
There you go. That's wiggling around.
Yep.
Something else just to the north of it.
Yeah, yeah. You just went under this piece of organic matter by the looks of it.
And if you move your arrow just north, there's another piece that was wobbling around. So there might actually be a couple of them. Yeah. No, a little to the left. That white thing
Over here.
down. Not too far down.
What?
Right there.
Right under there
Yeah,
somewhere.
I saw that aggregate moving around. Now, it could have been when he dodged and went underneath that bigger one that he.
Yeah.
But isn't that so funny how they always friggin' hide?
Yeah. It's what you wonder how many they're like dodging away from the light before it even gets to them,
Right?
Like maybe I just need to shoot all the way across to the slide and look around really quickly as they.
Yeah, go snap out to like 10x,
Mhm.
5x even. See what you see. You might be able to nematode or.
Yeah, I might as well click out and see if we can find anything big. Oh wait, so I don't blind you guys. Let me put that down. Oh no, wrong way. Let me put this up. All right. Still might be pretty bright. No, actually, I nailed it pretty good.
Yeah, you did.
I'm getting good at guessing the settings. Yeah, so this slide is pretty busy. But up here, it's not. Probably could have done a better job dropping the slide. That's an art form in its own. Just being able to drop the slide and have everything spread out.
Oh yeah.
I never do good doing trying to use the edge of the slide and spread it.
So while you're scooting around, Farmer Shelley, I really like the Swift microscope, but you have to get the oscillating head so it does this. The ones that slide back and forth are super uncomfortable, but the ones that you can roll down really fit your face well. And then whether you get an epifluorescent or not, I mean, you can just use a black light, but the only reason you need that is for identifying mycorrhizae, which is not always necessary. I mean, I personally, when I want to verify something, I'll send it out to a third party. I'll send it out to Mycoroots in Oregon. You can just go microroots.com and then have them do the assessment, because he'll give you spore counts in the soil, colonization or infection sites in the root ball or in the roots that you send in, instead of trying to, identify them yourself. But if you just want to learn and play, then yeah, the epifluorescent, it's not that expensive. Cheeto, stop it. You guys quiet. So nobody's bothering us. I hope I answered your question. Guys, stop it. I'm going to mute myself.
Yeah. Anything moving is going to be pretty small down there from this objective. Right about there is the big focus. Yeah, it's definitely a pretty busy slide.
Do you want to do a higher dilution?
Yeah, I could do that. We'd be able to see more if I did do a higher dilution. Because all down here is too busy to see.
Farmer Cheryl, the cameras are, if you want a good one, they're very expensive. Unfortunately, most of the ones that come with the microscopes, I think they're a couple $100, $300, and their software interface sucks. So the ones that really work well are usually up and around $1,000 range, but your microscope, a good Swift microscope, is only going to cost you about $400. So it's quite an investment. So again, you could do your research, but unless you spend the money, everybody in the chat or in the groups, on Soil Food Web groups will tell you it's all about spending a large amount of money to get a camera that really works well. Matt, I don't know how much you spent on your rig, but it's badass.
Thanks. But one thing, this is a full frame camera, which adds an extra $800 price tag to get the adapter to blow up the light. But if you do have a crop sensor DSLR, thought I had the old adapter around I could show you, but you can actually get like a $50 adapter on Amazon that will actually work pretty well. It'll fill the frame of just a crop sensor DSLR. So as long as you have a trinocular microscope with the camera port, it should be pretty easy and very inexpensive if you already have a crop sensor DSLR to get some decent footage. And then it all depends on how that crop sensor DSLR hooks up with your computer, if you have remote viewing, or a lot of times you can just plug like a mini HDMI into it that will work really well and hook it into any TV or any screen and don't even need a computer. But so that's my experience with using an actual camera, and can definitely but the ease of use for the Microsoft, actual microscope cameras like the Bio Vid and stuff like that, definitely make it just plug and play, where anytime you use the DSLR, it's going to take a little bit of dialing it to get it just right.
Gotcha. That's good advice.
But anyway, should we switch over? I do have some compost.
Yeah.
We could take a look at the Johnson Sioux compost slide here.
Well, how about Leighton? I'll bring up the stuff that you'd sent over, and we can go over that next.
That's a great idea. All right, I think you can zoom in on that, Ken. Like if you touch that screen, you can actually.
The stuff is everywhere, dude. See if I get out of the sun, if that helps. But all over.
Yeah, it's not letting me on the video. It will on the pictures though.
Okay. Yeah, look at that crazy flowering. Like I've never seen anything quite like that. Typically, it's just threads. It doesn't have these little heads on the top. And those started appearing. What's today? Monday. So that would have been Saturday, Friday, Wednesday. Wednesday, I applied a fish hydrolysate to this compost pile. I think there's a picture of the pile itself, Ken. It might give a little bit more context. And all of this stuff arised, about 5 days later.
Well, I just got the 2 images and the 1 video, so I think I had a couple that didn't come up.
Through.
Yeah, it's just the file type.
So let me scroll back and see what I got here.
So maybe Matt, describe what you're doing to set up your slide for anybody that's never done any microscopy.
Yeah, just try putting one single drop out of the tube on here. And actually, I think I got to redo this one because I got a piece of sand in the middle. So this is what happens sometimes. See how like everything's clumped in the middle? It's because there's one piece of sand or something that just dropped in the middle and nothing spread out when I dropped the slide. So hold on one second. I'm going to be right back as I clean off this slide and we're going to redo it.
All right, I just sent you another one, Ken, via mail drop, but I'm going to send it another way too. Because it gives me 2 options and I don't know which way you're getting them. Ken, did you get that one?
Just working on it. Let me see if I can get this to come up at all.
The stuff is everywhere, dude. See if I get out of the sun, if that helps.
Nathaniel. Yeah, that's always fun when they get into debates between natural farming and Dedam communities. But they're brothers. They just unfortunately tend to like beef.
The stuff is everywhere, dude.
So that was the one I think I already sent you. It should be a new one, Ken.
All over the place.
Oh, there you go. Maybe that was the one I meant to. But I just sent you another one that is just of the Venturi that I used to add the inoculants that I want to. And Matt, try doing 2 drops. Do you have 2 cover slips handy?
Yeah, I could do 2 drops. All right, let's see. Compost.
There you go.
Right.
You can see it turn color, Ken, and that's when the fish hydrolysate actually moves through that. That's all gravity fed because I don't have pressured water. See how it turns yellowish? And then we'll go back to clear.
Wasn't even sure I set up with a filter on it.
And that's a cool tarp that I had Grassroots Pots guys make for me. And as you can see, there's a product called Typar on the back of it. So what Typar does is it doesn't let moisture out from that side, from the side that has the name on it, but it will let moisture in from the other side. So it's designed to let moisture escape through the material. It's a house wrap. And so I figured I'd try it on this on the Grassroots fabric pot or tarp that he made me, and it works great because it's super slippery, so it slides right over the top of the compost, whereas the Grassroots fabric actually gets stuck and it strips like the top layer of the compost off. So just reach out to them if you're interested in one of those. I'm really loving it. I have 3 of them. I'm going to have some more made when time permits this fall.
Yeah, so I got the compost up on the screen. And yep, already right from the start, seeing some nice fungal hyphae coming out of that organic matter there.
Isn't that cool when you find a piece that just has like a
Yeah.
whole ton of different ones coming out of it?
Oh, I saw something whipped by the top. If anybody noticed that, never going to catch it. That was a. That was
there you go.
Oh,
there's a nice flagellate.
Got a little. Is it a ciliate?
It's hard for me to tell from here, but it looked
About
like
at 100x. We could. Let's see if we can get in quick to 400x.
There you go. Typically, a cilia would zip through. It wouldn't be messing around with an aggregate, but hey.
Yeah, usually they do kind of. It's tough to keep them in focus. There we go.
I don't think that's a ciliate. I think that's a flagellate working the aggregate. It's a big one too. Yeah, see how it bobbles around?
Yeah, more bumblebee style than
that's typical of a flagellate because it has one flagellum on each end of its body, so it tends to wobble instead of zip, because the ciliates have like cilia all the way around their whole body, so they can get them all moving in one direction and they can fly across the screen.
Clear fungal hyphae. Follow it into that aggregate almost. All right, we're in at 400x now. We can see how pretty much everything here is little pieces of our organic matter, because it's all compost. There'll be some couple minerals, but I always like seeing those nice little tiny uniform strands. You know, like something like that would be interesting to see under epifluorescence. Oh, we'll scroll down a little bit more here. Kind of looks, it's very straight, but kind of looks like it has a septi there. Odd blue hint.
Looks like a diatom to me.
Yeah, kind of, because it's so square. Yeah, before I saw that little split in the side, in the middle. But yeah, I would agree, most likely a diatom.
Which is so cool because, you know, I've been talking about diatoms for a year, but I've never had anybody else that can pull them up on a screen. So this is really cool. And I highly recommend the audience look into diatoms and the power that they have, because their body is a biological form of silica. So they're super powerful as far as providing bioavailable silica in situ, in place. They're also little oxygen pumps so that their waste is oxygen, which is fantastic for soil, for building a higher dissolved oxygen down in the soil profile for the bacteria to bloom, which leads to increase in protozoa production. Now that looks like a little cyst right there. Bring your arrow straight down.
Oh, the cyst. Yeah.
That's a cyst. So if it was double walls, it would be an amoeba. So I would tend to believe I'm not seeing a double wall on that. It looks so. I would guess that that's going to be a flagellate.
Yeah.
And nematodes tend to be a little bit more colored and a lot bigger than that. So it's probably not a nematode.
Another little flagellate bouncing around there. And was this at a... Oh, another... That was a ciliate that went by quick. Up there it goes.
And under the organic matter.
Yeah, and under there somewhere.
Is that an amoeba right at the top of that? Right there?
Yeah. Right. Possibly. Small one. Let's see. More good fungal hyphae. What's this? We got another weird shape, jagged edge diatom. Be rare that something would break like that.
Is it got ridges on the outside?
Yeah. Slight.
Those ridges actually make it a lot stronger. Can you zip it on it?
Yeah. Oh. We go right there. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. That's a great example. Yeah, sometimes you can even see the nucleus inside of them. And often you can see their chloroplast. It looks like a little green solar panel. But if they're dead or if they've left, then you don't see much.
We got all these other little round things over here.
Yep.
They're so small. Would they be tiny little cysts, do you think? Or they would be something...
Remember how tiny flagellates can be. I mean, they're like the size of bacteria in some cases. And it's actually, as a matter of fact, they're not that they hadn't known about them, but they're really starting to study these motile bacteria that actually do have flagellum, similar to a flagellate. And so there is some contention within the science community that maybe they've misidentified flagellates in the past that were actually bacteria and not flagellates. And then you can get into the whole archaea thing and algae. I mean, in many ways, we're going to have to like dissect the way we talk about these different organisms because they're lumped into categories or families that they really shouldn't be. They all should be their own individual community.
Well, but definitely the most amount of flagellates that I've seen in this compost so far.
How wet was it?
It was very dry until we just got like 4 inches of rain over the last like 10 hours.
Wow.
It just dumped a bunch up here. Yeah, I went up to my rain meter and was like this full. Haven't seen it that full all year long. So it rained quite a bit right here just last night. But other than that, it's been pretty dry.
So that might be why you're seeing so many flagellates. That might be an amoeba. Or
I can see 2 walls. We can take a closer look at that. So yeah, so it would be a naked amoeba.
There you go.
But just inside of a cyst. Not seeing the 2 cell walls like I was before at this focus. I thought I was. It might have actually just been a duplication, like of that light refraction. See, almost looks like two here, but I think that's actually an optical illusion.
It's tough to say, you know. It's
Tough to say, but yeah, it's
I mean, I would say I'm not sure either.
yeah. A lot of microscopy is like, I think, but I'm not 100% sure.
Now, in that view, can you see two walls? Because it definitely
In this view, it looks like there's a thick,
it's either super thick or it's two walls.
yeah. Like right there, it looks like two. But I think it's a little bit of optical illusion and or just not being able to see it quite well enough.
Yep.
All right. I feel like I just saw a really big ciliate go cruising around. It was totally out of focus, but I just saw a big blur going out of the screen. We got another round thing here. Yeah,
That too.
that
Wall.
has a thicker, very thick wall. Ah.
It would be hard not to classify that as an amoeba.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whereas the last one was questionable.
Yep. I would agree. But yeah, last time a couple of times I've looked at this compost, I've actually seen them out moving around.
Hey, Cass, this guy's down near you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Cass is one of the guys in the chat. He does cranberry growing, and I think he's somewhere near Mattapoisett or just south of the Cape.
Yep. It's pretty close to me. So, what would you say this is? Every now and then you see just weird strands like this, like too small to be a root here, but it's got all this weird stuff in it. Doesn't really look like a normal fungal hyphae.
So is it twisted?
It's not. I don't see any twists. No.
Okay. So it's probably not organic matter. So it could be some of these lower fungi orders, precursors to the saprophytes. Ascomyces, I think is what they're called.
Oh, there's a spot here. Can you see the where it's kind of spirally and twisted?
Yeah, it's hard to see, buddy.
Right there.
I could see something, but I can't like.
Oh.
Yeah, it does look like something's twisting around the outside edge of it.
So here's where it's got the spirals around the outside edge.
Is it look like there was something growing around it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. So it's not like it twisted. Because typically,
it's not like it just frayed. It looks like it's either the same thing, like how a vine would twist around itself.
Yep. So that
or something else is twisting around it.
Yeah, that would probably be an indication that it's some type of fungi, and less likely like an organic matter. You ever seen those little corkscrews?
Oh yeah, the little.
They look like springs.
Yep.
Now that's cellulose when it explodes, when it breaks, it springs out like that. It's pretty cool.
Actually, this looks like an amoeba with no cyst right here, but it's not moving.
Is it a testate or a naked?
A naked.
Okay.
It looks like a naked outside of his. Outside of his cell wall.
He just hasn't thrown any feet out yet.
But yeah, it just hasn't start moving around. Yeah, because use a testate, you would see as a
Its shell.
you'd see a shell. No, not moving. See the shy because of the light, or maybe he's actually growing he's all perfectly round, so maybe he's forming a cyst or something.
Yeah, it could be going in or going out.
Going in or going out.
Down a little.
Oh.
I think I saw an empty. Up.
Oh.
You see that empty test? Or no, it's a crisp. What? I can't tell. Is that an empty shell?
Here, yeah, I think these are both. Just
Yep, that
empty.
guy.
This one over here.
Yep.
Yeah, just because it's a very diamond shape. Could be an empty shell, but it's not super round. Move my mouse. Oh. Not sure if that's just a piece of organic matter, this big blob here, or something, just something that once was alive, breaking down.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's back into that necron.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always like looking at these aggregates and all the little
Pockets.
Yeah, all the little things poking out of there. And then back down to the bottom of the slide. Yeah.
Is that a spore or a
Yep. No, that's an amoeba.
nice?
Yep.
Can you see the mouth?
Mm.
Or is he closed?
Let me see. Kind of looks like the top of them might be the mouth.
Yep, the flat spot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just closed. Oh, look at that. There you go. Bang. Yeah, he's probably done feeding because his belly is full.
Yeah. That's pretty full. Oops. Yeah.
Cheeto.
Let's see. Can we find anything else cool to look at in here? Something's moving that around under the aggregate, of course.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Can't have it any other way.
We should go up. Oh, this might be. It's very round. I think this is an Arcella, if I'm right.
Archaea?
The brown testate amoebas.
Oh, okay.
I see quite a few of them. Just another one in the testate family. Pretty sure, yeah. Just because it's so round. All right. Some more good fungal hyphae. Might actually be another amoeba over here.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, look at the stuff he's clear. That's nice.
Yeah. Let's go in all the way there.
Nice.
That might be a cyst with something in movement
in there. That's
Yeah.
exactly what that is. That might be a nematode. Because you see that kind of movement in the nematode cysts.
It's good to know. Yeah, it almost looked like I saw a piece of a tail right there for a second.
Yeah, they wrap themselves like really tight, man. So that hyphae, if you go to the right, see if you can find a nucleus. There's a nice septy.
Yeah, there's the
That
separation.
indicates that's clearly a saprophyte.
Wonder if that's inside.
Well, it could be it could be
Area inside, or is
yeah,
it?
no, that
Just,
it
he
looks,
kind of looked like he's underneath. Yep,
yeah.
it looked like he was inside, but for a second.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he could have come in through the open end too.
Yeah. Another nice septi.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And that end's open. So there might be a nucleus right in the middle there, or it might be underneath or on top. Hard to say.
Like right kind of underneath there.
Keep going to the left into the other one that has both septi intact.
Mm.
No, back up.
This right here.
No, to that section in the middle right there. See, right there. You see that thing? It's about halfway between the two septies. It's moving around, but again, it could be a bacteria on the inside or the outside. But this is I like this microscope. This is pretty cool, dude.
Well, thanks. Yeah, and I think even if somebody had a crop set frame camera, just the normal DSLR, I think it would look pretty close to as good. Might not have the same low light capabilities for like dark field and stuff as the full frame, but I think it would be pretty close.
Oh, there we go. That's a arthropod leg.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or insect or arthropod leg.
Yep, so probably a little soil mite, which is always good to see.
Oh, there was a larger ciliate. Where'd he go? Tried to follow him there for a second, but
chase that race car.
there
you go. You got him
for a second.
You got him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always said like for whoever figures out how to make these microscope controls all remotely controlled by a controller, I'll be the first one to buy it.
Like a game controller.
Yep.
Yeah, it would make it a lot easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, you'd have just your joysticks for moving around.
I'm really surprised they don't, with all the drones out there and video games. I mean, everything's like those two joysticks.
Yeah, they do have like automated or mechanical stages and stuff like that, which would be pretty easy to connect to a controller. What's this loop here?
Oh,
that's interesting, but it's just a loop. It's broken in the middle.
It's broken, unfortunately. That could have been one of those looping fungi that they capture the nematodes, but it would have to have been closed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could have been, and it could have gotten broken when you shook up the slide or shook up the sample.
I haven't seen a strand, loop that much before. It's the first time.
You know those fungi I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, the ones that tie up the or knot up the and kill the root feeding nematodes.
Yep.
Oh, just saw a ciliate come over here. But no, more fungal hyphae. Looks like another arthropod leg.
Yep. And those are so easy to confuse with a blown up nematode. You ever seen a blown up nematode?
Yeah, they just kind of look like they burst on one end or like got chopped by something.
Yep. So nematodes are very much like water balloons. And they're, very easy to pop. And often when you're shaking it up, you can pop them. Shaking up your test tube.
There's a little
fungal happening.
Yeah, a little fungal cluster. Let's see. A couple interesting shapes, but just about to the end of the slide. Kind of want to zoom in on whatever this little thing is here. Another cyst, if I was to guess. But it just kind of looks spiky and interesting. So that's... Oh, let's go here. No, go there. There we go.
Oh, wow. That is cool. It almost looks like it has a mouth starting to open too at the top. 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it's got the little
Yep.
half
Right
moon dent there. Might be somebody thinking about coming out of that cyst. Yeah. You never know what kind of cool stuff you're going to find down here.
So Matt, you know Cass Gilmore?
Cass Gilmore?
Yeah, he's the guy I told you. Cass, where's your farm down in Mattapoisett, or
Is it the same Cass I know?
you said you helped him with his microscope?
Mm.
Or maybe he saw you.
Oh, maybe just online or yeah.
Middleborough, Mass. So he's not too far north of you.
Just north of here.
He asked a question. Do you ever look at aquatic microbiology?
A little bit. It's tough. It's like a whole different ball game. Everything in there looks different from what you see in the soil. But it is fun.
What do you got? What do you got in the center there? Those little brown flagellate.
Yeah, I think it's somebody stuck to a micro aggregate. Can't see what's moving it around. It doesn't look like the thing that's moving is actually what's moving it.
Oh, so it's a tiny little
Yeah.
flagellate that's stuck to it. It's got its tail on it.
I do that. Yeah, I don't.
You can't tell where it's getting pulled from.
Yeah.
Unless that's it on the left. See that thing that's...
Yeah, a little...
Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Over here. Oh,
there it is.
Right there. Yeah.
It's underneath it.
It's underneath it.
Too cool. So people, that's how you have to identify flagellates, is by aggregates moving, because more often than not, that was a good shot that was sticking its head out.
Yeah, he just poked out the top there for a second.
Took a look at you and then ran away. There he is.
Yeah.
That was a great shot.
All right. Let's see. Where are we on this slide? I think we already went by that. I think I was going, need to go just a little bit more right here, and then we pretty much cover the whole thing. We are zooming around at 400x, so this does take a while.
Yep.
Almost up at the top.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, another
That's a nice cyst.
interesting cyst.
I would guess of amoeba because of the walls. Oh, there's a nice round cyst.
Yeah.
That could be a nematode, or it could be a sap. Looks like you got a great hyphae there to the right of it.
Yeah. Nice brown looking hyphaes. Some septi in there. More flagellates. And I'm glad it's weird. Like a year ago, it was the one thing I was missing was the flagellates. We had the amoebas, we had the nematodes, but I wasn't seeing any of the little wiggly guys down there. And now I'm seeing a lot more.
Well, maybe that means you got to add more water.
We know we're making progress. Yeah, or I was watering too little. Yeah, a bunch of them in there. There's another one. Yeah. Surprised we didn't find a nematode in either one of these samples yet.
We've probably got time to do one more if you want to. If you're done with that one.
I could throw another. We still got a little bit more scanning around to do here.
Okay, keep
We are
scanning.
in the 400X. Oh,
Another flag.
that's interesting looking.
Yeah, another thing too is to remind the audience that you're looking at through a 3-story building. So that guy's probably up in the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
See how he's wobbling around? So that's another thing that you have to constantly go up and down, because there can be things that you can't focus on because they're up in the 3rd floor and you're down on the 1st floor of the basement.
Yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but just as you were saying that, there was a huge blur that moved right across the center of the screen. So that was something that was swimming around the top of the slide.
Yep.
Up in the 3rd story.
Yep.
It almost looks like a little tiny baby rotifer poking around. That's how they move.
But the rotifers usually have the street sweeper front.
But usually it kind of looks like just a little one just poking around, and he's got himself attached, and
Come on, up.
But he's not opening his mouth necessarily to.
Come on, stop fighting. Stop fighting, guys.
Do that vortex thing.
Hey, stop teasing him, Poe.
Let's see. Just about up to the top. Couple more spores. More fungal hyphae.
So while you're scanning around, I'm going to answer another one of these questions. Basically, you take a what's called a test tube. They're plastic ones, and they have a cone bottom, and you'll see markings up the side. It usually starts with 2, and then goes all the way to 15. It's called a 15 mil plastic vial. So where the 1 mil line is where the cone starts to go straight up. And so you put in 1 milliliter of soil. You want to tap the vial down to pack it. And then you add water until you hit the 10 mil line. Then you put the cap back on, shake it up, and then squish the pipette in and out a few times to really stir up the sample. And then you take 1 drop and put that on your slide. So, there's several, probably many hundred different drops in that vial. There you go. There's a perfect example. So there's many drops in that vial, and you're only getting to see 1 drop. So it's that's why I often will put 2 drops on the slide just to cover my butt so I don't miss something.
And it looks like we got a little cluster here. I would guess these would be yeasts all clustered up.
The little brown dots, or the
the clear ones here. Not moving.
Yeah, we don't know much about yeasts and molds. That could be a mold spore bank, or it could be a yeast spore bank. So, Cheryl, what I do is I have so many different methods of composting. Yes, I do use the a similar style to Johnson Sioux. Dr. Elaine Ingham showed it to me when I was down at Rodale, and we called it a bullet. So it's the same idea, circular cage, 3 feet high. Diameter ranges or varies depending on your, look at that piece. That's beautiful. Focus in on some of the tips and let's see if they're clubbing. Like, you know what a club is, right? When they
we saw one earlier that looked like a golf club.
Yep. So I also use a Hugel style composting. So I'll drag an old rotten log out and then build a teepee out of fresh new branches off of saplings, layered back and forth. And then I start layering 3 or 4 inches of hay on top of that. Then I mix my greens and browns and pile it on top. Then I water it, obviously, and I use convection to draw the heat out of the pile. And this is like a static walk-away pile. And then once the temperature hits about 100, I plant it, both with seeds and seedlings. And I walk away, and 6 months later, you'll come back and you'll have the most amazing compost. You have all kinds of little critters in there, salamanders, toads. Just a wonderful way of easy composting. And then, of course, windrows, piles, there's many different styles. If you're limited on space, the Johnson Sioux or bullet style is great because you just pile in at the top. Typically what I'll do is I'll lay it on its side, scoop out some of the bottom, and then stand it back up again. I think Matt has a way he just kind of lifts the sides up, and whatever falls out of the bottom, he scoops up. But that's another easy way of static composting. Johnson Sioux is a little different because he's got chimneys in there. Generally, he's using a lot of nitrogen in the form of manures. So you need to have those pipes to make sure that the center doesn't go super hyperphilic or thermophilic. But yeah, there's a lot of different styles. It just depends on what's easiest for you. What is that? Wayne?
I've been seeing this recently and never before. This is the second time I've seen this, where whatever this is wrapping around this clear crystal, it's very uniform and kind of like makes a thatchwork.
It almost looks like something's harvesting out of the stone. There you go. That's a great picture. Yeah, you can really see it's just like woven over the top of it, like someone wrapped a wire around it.
Yeah.
You may have
a couple of those recently.
You may have actually found one of those mycorrhizas that are visible to the eye, because what else would wrap around a crystal or a mineral like that?
Yeah.
You don't have a black light kicking around, do you?
No, I know. I have a bright flashlight for top lighting.
Dude, you got to get a black light next time you come on, so you can like flash the black light on it.
Just the black light on there? I used to have one of those just an LED black flashlight.
Does it have the what's it called? The blue and purple?
It was just a purple light, but it worked really good for finding glow in the dark frisbee discs at night.
That might actually work, dude.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that thing, though. I'm not going to be able to find it right now, but I might see if I can dig it out of an old box somewhere and give that thing a try. Oh, look at this. Two spirals. We were just talking about the springs.
Yeah.
We got a spring here and a very large spring here on the same.
There you go. That's where you have the I'm pretty sure it's I just said it. Lignin and cellulose.
Cellulose.
Yeah, cellulose is the one that acts like the spring.
Oh wow. And another one.
Good sign of ciliate takes off through the crowd.
Big ciliate flying through.
So with all those springs, you have a great level of decomposing bacteria.
Oh, I wanted to ask you with the fungi clubbing, what's with the clubbing?
So there's two types. One is where the fungi is actually creating a spore bank. And so it looks like it's completely solid all the way around. It looks like it's kind of like a weird shaped balloon hanging off the end of one of its offshoots. And then other times you'll see that same thing. Oh, nice flagellate wobbling around. And it'll have been exploded. So unfortunately, we can't look at the slide for like hours or days, because then we could actually watch that thing fill up. Oh, another ciliate flew through there. Fill up and then explode and release the spore bank. Other times you can see where it kind of looks like a club, but actually what it is where the hyphae got broken and all the cytoplasm from inside the hyphae have oozed out of it. So it's a little tricky to tell the difference between the two. But generally speaking, if it's a club that's got a solid wall all the way around it and one side is exploded or blown off, that would typically be a spore bank where the wall is a lot less or a lot harder to see if it was just a cytoplasm leak.
Yeah, we got more of that crossing fungi right here.
Yep. Intersection.
And then right down here, we had actually a really nice looking testate amoeba.
Oh yeah, nice find.
Yeah, the perfect hot air balloon.
There you go. Look at that mouth. Perfect view of a mouth. And a full belly.
Yep.
And they can actually close and open that. So when they're full, it looks like he's probably closing it now. So everything's pushed up toward his mouth. So my guess would be he's done eating for today and he's going to go take a nice nap.
Yep. Happy amoeba. All right. Let's see. We got about one more scroll down.
Got a nematode?
Not moving.
I think it is.
Yeah, it might be a dead nematode.
Well, can you zoom in on his mouth?
Yeah, I'm not really seeing too much mouth features, really.
No, but that definitely would be the end that was the mouth.
Yeah.
It could be going into cyst or coming out of cyst.
True.
But it also looked like it had some stuff in its belly.
Pretty clear. Huh. It's definitely the shape of one.
It's definitely not an arthropod leg.
Yeah, definitely not too bent, or especially the twist back the other way.
Yeah, right back there.
But yeah, could be starting its assisting phase. Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen one wiggling around down there. We probably will. Usually every time I say why haven't I seen one yet, stumble upon one.
I haven't. He doesn't.
Let's see.
Oh, no, he doesn't have it. Bo. Quiet. Oh, what's that? Is that one of those fungi loops?
Yeah, one of those. Oh, it could be that. I don't see anything inside.
It's closed though, all the way around.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it's just sitting there waiting for something to stick its nose through there.
Yeah. Maybe that's why we're not seeing too many nematodes. We're seeing a couple of those.
Well, we saw a broken one. That must have been one hell of a strong nematode to break it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of flagellates. Where are we at? We still got some more room to go down.
Spores.
More fungal spores.
You know, I'm actually kind of enjoying this because I'm not working. I just get to stare at it and explore.
Yeah.
That could be like plant matter.
Yeah, I think that's plant matter.
Or wing.
Plant matter.
Yeah, or wing.
Something was moving this. Vibrating.
Someone up on the 3rd floor.
Yeah. Let's see. Wow, big fungal hyphae there.
Yeah.
That thing is huge.
It's got to be 7.
Yeah, still going.
Glad you too, Lucille.
Oh, yeah. Something circular right there. Another cyst, possibly amoeba. Oh, we gotta.
That could be a nematode cyst.
Thick cell wall. Oh,
there we go.
that's definitely a nematode.
Yeah, and then again, its mouth is closed. It's like it's asleep. That's just like the other one we saw.
Yeah. Taking a nap. Another really large cyst there.
Check that out, Lil.
Very busy inside.
They're having way too much fun, Leighton.
I know they are too. Oh, what's
That
that?
was silly. But he went up into the 3rd floor. Oh,
It came back down.
Around.
What's that thing?
Yeah, it's another. This second time we've seen a. Got these kind of straight lines that I haven't really. I can't remember seeing anything.
Oh, that's got to be a spore of some kind.
Yeah.
Almost looks like a leaf. It has a little stick out of the top. And, silly, crazy. Crashes into it. Oh, what's that?
Is that another one of those loops half broken?
Could be.
Kind of looks like it. Oh.
That one side at like 9 o'clock looks a little damaged.
Yeah.
Or clean as the other one. Someone came to say hi.
Another one.
Yeah, you definitely got some rain, dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. From the hyphae popping out of there. Yeah, it wasn't even like when I pulled the compost, when I grabbed from the bottom, like it was damp, but it wasn't even that wet. It's still sort of dryish.
Interesting.
The pile is semi-covered, like it has slots, and a little water can get in, but not much. Let's see.
Wow, we've got a lot of questions. All right, Matt, you keep scooting around, and I'll try to answer the questions. And if someone has one for you, we'll stop you for a minute.
Yeah. That'll work because I'm not paying attention to the chat. There'll be too many things to look at.
Another piece of cellulose, or look at that. That's a perfect one. All right. Can Jack or Matt recommend which microscope is best for these observations? Jack comments epifluorescence. So I think I hit on that, Charles. Like I personally like the Swift microscope and with the oscillating German head. So it doesn't come on a slide. It curled them down. They're very comfortable to use, $350 to $400 on Amazon. I think if you want to get the travel case, it's a little bit more expensive. Hopefully that answers that question.
Yep. This is the Swift as well.
Yeah, you got Swift too. Nice. Okay. Do you have any JMS or IMO at home?
Do I have any kicking around? I don't. I just made some JMS and I threw it all on the garden.
Gotcha. So JMS is basically a microbial stimulant. I don't believe it has a lot of microbial life in it. I think it's to support microbial life. Whereas an IMO collection is you're collecting indigenous microorganisms. So that would be considered more of an inoculant. Now, the interesting thing is that when you see an IMO collection, it's this white fuzzy stuff, and I've microscoped it. There's another one of those circle things. I think you do have those fungi.
This one, this has got something living in it. This is a cyst or a...
Oh, there you go. So that's got to be an amoeba. Yeah. So when I scoped the IMO collections I did years ago, I did not see any saprophytes, but there is an understanding that you need those precursors. Oh, look at that amoeba. Damn. That's
nice amoeba.
Test date. Open mouth, full belly, feeding away. So the IMO is an important component to getting the soil in the right phase for the saprophytes to come in and really take off. So that's why it has such value. And yeah, liquefying it or limo is a nice way of applying it because you can just, with liquids, it's so much easier to apply. Kind of like, compost teas and extracts. They're way better to apply than just to take, really good compost and spread it on the surface of the soil. It gets oxidized. You lose probably 50%, if not more, of the organisms that are in it due to that oxidization process. And of course, if it's windy, it's even worse because it blows the little particulate blow away. So I always recommend if you're going to use compost in its solid form that you dig it into the soil a little bit. Obviously, I'd like to see it go right around the root ball and then cover it back up with the existing mulch or add some mulch on top of it and then water it so that it does, you protect all those organisms. There's a nice orthopod leg.
Yeah, a lot of bug parts that I'm going by here.
Bug parts are good, dude. Smiley, what's up, brother? Is either KNF or JDOM, and maybe it doesn't matter, but is the addition of organic matter stimulating the existing microbiome more than an inoculant? Okay, so that's a great question, Smiley. Why would I expect anything less from you? So the organic matter has a number of different forms. You've heard me talk about GOM, ground organic matter. Then you've heard me talk about POM, particulate organic matter. And then there's mineral associated, MOM, organic matter. These are all forms of SOM, soil organic matter. So recently there's been some papers really going down the rabbit hole of DOM, dissolved organic matter, which is basically what Muncher juice is, what my product is we've taken compost and liquefied it. And typically in a, in situ in place, soil will have maybe 1% to 2% DOM, and it's generally comes from exudates from the plants. So when we provide these, these forms of DOM, we're really shifting that pressure away from the plant producing the exudates, because we're providing it. So again, if the compost is in a solid form and applied correctly, so it's underneath the ground or underneath the cover chip, then it is providing microbial foods, and in many ways is providing an inoculant, because you're going to get the endophytes that are living in that organic matter, or that were living in the plant matter that eventually came out and were colonized in the aggregates of the compost itself. So yes, it can be an inoculant, but generally speaking, your goal is to inoculate like protozoa, because anytime you run into a disturbed soil system or somewhere where you've had synthetic fertilizers or pesticides applied, that's the first thing that gets killed is the protozoa. So yes, the protozoa will come back in over time, 3 to 5 years. Elaine says it takes less time. In my experience, if you're adding incredibly diverse organisms and food sources, kind of like hays, fresh grasses that you cut yourself, then you can get those protozoa to come in a lot quicker. But if you're limited on the ingredients that you're using to make your pile, then it's going to take a lot longer, especially if you go hyperthermophilic, which would be 160 plus. You really cooked off everything, and it's going to take a lot longer for those organisms to come back. So Smiley, I hope I answered that question, but that was a really good one. You ever do mycorrhizae dye, or it's another trick? So we were talking about, another nice test date. Cass, we were talking about using a black light. So a black light is epifluorescent, and it will pick up those special colors that are generated inside the mycorrhizae, but without staining or using that special type of light, you can't see them. There's only one type, and they're pretty rare. I've never seen them until just recently. Efford showed me when we were on the bridge project what one looks like. Don't have septae. They're clear, so they're hard to pick up, especially when you have a field that's like this, where you have so much going on in it. He actually was doing 100-to-1 dilution, so there was not a lot of debris field, and so he could identify it. Kind of like that, man. That's kind of like what he was showing us or showing me. Hard to say exactly, but so with mycorrhizae, yeah, you either have to stain it or you got to friggin' use the epifluorescent.
Yeah, definitely want to try the black light though. That sounds cool.
It's pretty cool, dude. It's a pain in the neck because you're going to have to set up a clamp so that it's on the slide, because you can't hold it and try to run the microscope at the same time. It's just you'll drive yourself insane.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've seen under the microscope? Oh, good. Yeah. So yeah, I've back early on when I was kind of still at Rodale, but just leaving or finishing up my work down there. I did a lot of work studying lakes, streams, swamps, and dude, some of the organisms I saw there were nuts. And then just recently, I sent a pic to Andy on something. Andy Marsh from Rhizos.sciences, who does my quantifying biological test reports for clients. And so when I saw this, I asked her, I said, hey, have you ever seen anything like this? And I'm going to see if I can get this to Ken. Fortunately, I have so many chats with her going. It's not this one. It's not that one. It's this one. No. Where is she? thought it was just recent. Maybe I'm wrong. Here we go. All right, I got it. I'm going to send it to Ken now, and he can pull it up. That's a great question. So, Cass, there's a lot of different cannot send mail. Oh, whatever. Ken, check your inbox. Oh, great diatom.
Yeah, it's a big diatom.
Yeah, it is. See if you can find a little chloroplast, a little solar.
Got all the jagged edges and everything.
No, there's usually like a little green square in there somewhere. Typically, you'd see it at this magnification, but for whatever reason, I'm not. Maybe it's a dead one or in dying in process. So, Cass, there's many different philosophies on how best to take a soil sample, okay? Generally speaking, I run with the rule of thumb that when I walk onto a job site, I'm looking for differences, ecotones. So a variation where one species is moving in and one species is moving out, or where the plant life takes a drastic, either the soils like goes from being bare to very heavily vegetated. So any type of transition, I'm going to want to sample both sides of that transition. Now, typically I don't take like a whole bunch of samples and mix them together. You can do it that way, but I'm being more like a sniper and less like a machine gun operator. Andy and I have had debates, or not debates, but discussions in past on this podcast about what is the best way to take those samples. And, she agrees that like there's the methodology of no. You want to take, as many different samples as you can in the block and then mix them together so you're getting an overall general outline of what's going on. But I'm way more focused on targeting specific things. So I don't like that methodology because I'm going to miss something. And again, remember, at the end of the day, you're taking this baggie of soil, you're taking 1 milligram out of it, which is like, nothing. And then you're adding 10 mils of water and taking 1 drop out. So you're really, and this is another conversation that I've had with Andy when I first met her when I was vetting her, was like, you have to be like almost there on the site, or you need to have video of the site, or you need to FaceTime the client so that you can see the site, because the site is 50% of the information. It's telling you what's going on. Like, is this healthy site? Is it unhealthy site? Is there erosion? Is there compaction? All of these things are huge variables in what you're going to see when you take the time to put the microscope or put the sample under a microscope. So collection is almost, you almost have to be like meditative or thorough, or spend a lot of time in observation before you take the sample to really get a good general understanding of what it is that you're going to be seeing, or what it is you're looking at when you're underneath the microscope. So sorry for the long-winded answer, but I think it's important to take that into consideration, like when you are taking a sample, that you spend at least as much time observing where you're taking the sample from as you do spending behind the microscope. Is that crystal with that thing wrapped around it again?
I think there's, that's a different one, I believe.
Penny, I would say we're not really looking at a lot of microplastics in this. There was one little red crystal thing that might have been a microplastic. I didn't point it out because I, didn't want to make any big deal about it. Like here in the bottom right hand corner, you see that like amber color. That's humic acid crystal. But this was like an ungodly red, but a bright red. But I haven't seen. Oh, there's that nice little spiral of the organic matter pulling apart.
Yeah, another cellulose.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So and again, microplastics, especially if they're white, are going to be really difficult to see. But the greens, the blues, typically you can see them pretty well. Fortunately, he's not in a situation where he's going to get a tremendous amount of plastic blowing in onto his property. Unlike me, where I'm working at a recycling yard, so I'm constantly picking pieces of plastic and stuff out of the compost and out of the ground because it blows in. It's a challenge, but I have this philosophy now that at first I was horrified and I was freaking out and I was like being so anal and screening and picking everything, and I'm like, you know what, Leighton, you got to calm down. Look, microplastics are everywhere. They're in our bodies. They're in our foods. They're everywhere. We're not going to get rid of them. And so embrace them. Like, okay, I got it in my body. Like, I'm going to be careful not to add more. I don't want to increase the level of them. But if I see some compost, if I have some microplastics in my compost, I'm done freaking out, because what's actually happening, and I'm seeing it, is those microplastics are falling apart. So the bacteria, we know of at least 3 different species of bacteria that are actually converting plastics into a food source. So what do we call it? Not digesting, degrading and decomposing them back to their original form, which is harmless. So again,
a potential candidate for microplastic right here.
Say again.
I think we have a potential candidate for microplastic on the scope right now.
Oh, there you go. That twisted thing.
Yeah, because it's all twisted, very frayed end.
Yep. But again,
Clear.
if you have really good biology, then you're going to be okay. You're going to survive. It's not going to make you sick. If you don't have good biology, especially in your gut, then it's going to build up or get transferred into your bloodstream, which would be really bad, and then cause problems. But yeah, so they are all eating it. Awesome, right? Love it. Cheeto, there's nobody here. Relax. When's the best time to take samples? Oh, Cass, great question. So I did this study back. I was working on this project in Connecticut, and they had this incredibly beautiful Japanese maple tree, the biggest one I've ever seen. And they wanted to transplant it. It was someone had root balled it up. They didn't really actually wrap the whole ball in jute like they typically do. They wrapped around the outside edge. They had to move this tree out of the way where the new house was going. And so I did a study every day at the same time at lunchtime. I took a soil sample from underneath that tree and monitored what I was seeing with the biological nutrient cycling system. And I definitely saw a lot more activity on the new moon and the full moon. And that's when I started going, you know what, biodynamics isn't bullshit. There's definitely something to that. We've all talked about, lunatics, the lunar cycles make people crazy. The werewolves have to come out when the moon's out. But I think there's a lot more to that than is discussed. But to be honest with you, yeah, you will see biological shifts, every 30 days and more so when you get into seasonality. But definitely in the same season, you will have shifts within a 30-day period within the moon cycles. So just keep that in mind that, depending on if you're looking to see a lot of activity, you can sample either at the new moon or full moon. If you want to have a general understanding of what's going on, then you probably want to sample in between those two. There's another one of those loops. Yeah. I think you have that fungi, dude.
It's the first time I've seen these loops too. Well, it's probably been. I looked at the compost at the beginning of the spring, but I haven't looked at this compost since.
Yes, Cheryl, I was so blessed. I was playing with fish manure back in 2000 and I don't know 9, 8, 9, and I had this buddy Jeff who had a organic land care camp or he taught called the Green Gorillas on Long Island, and I'd met him through another friend of mine, and so he kept telling me, he goes, "Oh my God, you've got fish tea. You've got fish tea. You need to go see Elaine. You need to go see Elaine." And I was like, finally, after a year of him bugging me, we were good friends. We talked a lot, probably 2-3 times, maybe more a week. And he bugged me to do this. So finally, I'm like, all right, where is this Elaine? I'll bring her my fish brew, my fish, mold. And so I called down to Rodale. I had no idea what Rodale was. I had no idea who Elaine was. And I said, look, Jeff Frank keeps telling me I got to come see you. I've been playing with fish manure and I put it on plants. I get a great reaction, but I don't know why. Can I come visit you? And she said, yes, by all means, and bring a sample. So I went down there and I had a vial of it that I had aerobically stabilized, so it didn't smell bad. And I handed it to her. She put it on the microscope and she was blown away. She just was like, where the hell did you get this? I go, it's fish poop. And she goes, you can't go behind a fish with a pooper scooper. How did you get it? Oh, there might be an empty amoeba moving.
The big wide open mouth.
Yeah, see if you can zoom. Oh, there's a flagellate on it.
Yeah,
that's moving. That's cool. So, needless to say, I said to her, "Well, again, I want to know why." Oh, there's its mouth opening and closing. Look at that! Great. It must be just because of the pressure, osmotic pressure around it, with the amoeba moving or the flagellate moving it.
Yeah.
So I said, I really want to understand why this works. And she goes, "Do you have more time?" So I said, "Yeah, I'll get a hotel for the night, and I'll see you tomorrow morning." She laughed her ass off. And I didn't understand why then, but I literally was down there 18 months, 3 to 4 days a week, with probably the most privileged opportunity to work one-on-one and in tight relationship or tight conditions with her for that long a time. I mean, she like totally immersed me in soil biology, compost methods, vermicompost. I got to work with all our interns. I got to work with a bunch of different scientists down there that were doing internships or rotations at Rodale. So I got to visit the Rodale Library, which was insane how many papers and documents they had about this understanding of like the whole. Well, Bob was in Africa. That's where he learned about it, and so there was a lot of really interesting data that was obtained from both the time he was there and after, when he really started to get into this. He sent a bunch of scientists down there to go down the rabbit hole in these savannas and these incredibly unique and micro and macro environments. So I was, again, very blessed to have become such a good friend and be taught at that level, again, with practically one-on-one with her, 3-4 days a week. Matt, how did you learn all the microorganisms? When you get stumped, what is your resource to verify?
Well, definitely Matt Powers, Regenerative Soil Microscopy book. That's easier than going to the poor images that you find on Google Images. Other than that, yeah, it's just going through, pretty much Google Images until I find something that looks like what I'm looking at on the screen.
Speaking of that, Matt, maybe you should bring up that file. You had some images you wanted Leighton to take a look at, right?
Yeah, there was a couple of, we already saw that star thing. I tried to put together a presentation, but let me see if I can just share a couple of the videos.
Hey, Ken, can you get AirDrop if I send it to you that way?
I've never heard of AirDrop.
So on my phone, it gives me a choice to add as an attachment or airdrop. So that last video I tried to send you wouldn't go through for some reason. But just check your email and see if you got anything from me just recently. Within the last
Yep, I just got something in. Let me download it. Okay.
And Matt, bring up something if you want, by all means.
Yeah, I just threw up an interesting video. I don't know. Can you just bring up that video that I just
So
to present?
you got two things now, Ken.
Hold on.
Overwhelmed him.
Yeah, your video won't come in, Leighton.
Yeah,
So
this
that looks like an orphan.
I found a couple of these just weird looking red blobs.
Well, you see the legs?
Hmm.
My guess is that's an orthropod coming out in one of its phases. You remember how insects have a lot of different phases, and depending on the insect, they could have 4 or 5. So that might be the middle stage of transformation of some kind.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't think of that one. And then let's see. We also had. Oh yeah, here was a really of that fungi that we saw covering the aggregate.
Yep.
This is the most uniform one that I saw. You want to bring up that one when you can. Like it almost looks like it has little stars.
You know what? Those are a very special fungi. That fungi must have laid its spores on that. So there's this fungi that looks like a starfish, but it's 3-dimensional. So it looks like it's like a porcupine. It's got spines on all sides. That's the first time I've seen it look like that. So I may be wrong, but I've seen those star-shaped ones, and again, they're like a pricky ball, like a ball that has spikes on all sides of it, but they have like a tiny little center and very long spikes. And I sent one to Elaine years ago, and she said, "Oh, that's a great fungi." And she didn't tell me the name of it or anything else, but she goes, "It's a very unique fungi, and it's an indicator of really good soil diversity."
Nice. Yeah, I think I found that piece was actually in the soil. We're seeing a lot in my compost. Probably came from the compost originally.
All right, I just texted it to you, Ken. I don't know if you can pull it from text and throw it up after Matt's done. Did you have another one, Matt?
I think that was it. I had a couple of pictures, but
I didn't see that comment. We're bombing poor Ken. So that is like field of spores starting. That's my guess. Again, I don't have confirmation on that, but those stars look very much alike to that specific fungi that look like that spiky ball. Looks like Christmas wrap. It does, doesn't it? Ken, did you get the text?
Yeah, the text just came through. I'm going to see if I can forward it to my computer and download it.
Yeah, it's a really wild one. Well, Matt, I really appreciate you coming on today and bringing us all to the microscopic world. Enjoy this place.
I'm honored to be here. Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, please.
I always like sharing this stuff with as many people as I can.
Yeah, it's so cool. I mean, like when I first started like really learning how to use the tool, and I got enough confidence and had enough experience to be able to identify some of the organisms, dude, I lived behind the thing to the point where I'd be like getting a blazing headache at the end of the day because I spent so much time behind it. But that was how I figured out a lot of, the tricks and trades that I know, is because I could do something physically, in play with my compost, add different ingredients, and then go back and microscope it and really have a clear understanding of how whatever I did changed the outcome of the compost by doing side by sides. Another trick that I learned, which you're going to love, is if you have two different things that you want to compare, whether it's like over time or like an addition of an ingredient, or this plant looks super healthy and this one looks super sick, take a sample from each one of them and put one drop of each on that slide, and then you can zip back and forth between the two of them. I found that to be a very valuable tool in analyzing certain situations and circumstances.
Yeah. I'm always amazed when I just go back into my library and bring up a sample from a year ago and, you know, look at it. And then, you know, so I can bring up the sample that I'm looking at of this bed and then have like last year's sample just, you know, in a video file somewhere. And I'll like, you know, compare and contrast.
You can actually give yourself a pat in the back because look how much better it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great advice. Well, I don't think Ken's going to be able to pull that up.
Yeah, it's not coming through.
I didn't think it would.
Oh, yeah. I had a couple other weird things here in the presentation that I put together. I couldn't put any video into it. So if we bring that up. So this was from the dark field. You can't see it really good here, but I think the next slide. So like from right there, it almost looks like it might be microplastic or something. Oh, here's the red blob from before.
And that was that little mite.
Yeah, that was that little mite, like home or house or, you know, whatever. But yeah, so here is that strand that we saw before. And it's got all these weird little things inside of it.
So there's been some really cool stuff on mycorrhizae, and this very well be the one that you can see, showing that it moves these blobs of nutrient called dissolved organic matter, and it can move it through the tubes and then stop it, pull it back, and push it up another branch if it wants to. So that very well may be something, a fungi of some type. Either those are, because it doesn't have septi, they're either nutrient or those are nuclei. And something else to really keep in mind that Elaine doesn't talk about. She says if it's clear and narrow diameter, it's a disease causing. Well, for the most part, that's true, but not all the time, because when saprophytes are young, that means less than 7 to 10 days, they're often clear because they haven't shown their morphology yet. I've never seen that many blobs inside of a clear, small diameter hyphae. But do you have any idea what the magnification is on this?
That's 400. Yep.
Okay, so that's pretty big then.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So the first one back here is 100 at so this is the same thing in dark field at 100x.
Yeah, look at the clumps at the end too. It could be a spore bank, dude. Like there's so many different forms of spores. You know, I've seen tubular ones. I've seen ones that like stack up like little cells inside of each other. I've seen ones that look like the doggy Kong with different layers, like 5 different layers. So it's really hard to say, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Thanks, Silly Lily.
And
All
Matt,
right.
you're a regenerative soil consultant as well, and soil microscope imaging.
Yeah. Trying to be anyway, as my side hobby.
There you go. Your side hustle.
And
well, again, thank you so much for taking the time and coming on to share with us. This was a wonderful tour. I really enjoyed it. I know Silly enjoyed it. I'm sure, Ken, you nerded out all this.
Yeah, I was having trouble looking at the comments because I was watching the screen so much.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I definitely neglected the comments today. Sorry for all you in the audience, but I was really enjoying the tour of the slides and his compost
Yeah.
soils. So anyway, again,
Very well.
appreciate it. Ken, thanks for all your hard work behind the scenes and
Yeah.
making the podcast happen every week. Matt, thank you for sharing 2 hours
Hmm.
of time on a Monday night, East Coast. So you're pushing 7 now. You better go get some dinner.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if there's anything you need to announce, Ken, for
Just
Yep.
for the channel, we've got Andy Lopez, myself with Indiana Backyard Gardener on Wednesday, and then on Friday I have Dr. Paula Ruffin coming on and interviewing her on Ken's Cafe on this Friday.
nice. Was she the one that was using massage and cannabis oils?
No, she's bone cracker, chiropractor, and she does health or wellness, physical therapy, that kind of stuff. So anybody that's injured, she really helps with both the food and the what you need to do with your body to get yourself back in mode of moving again.
Nice. All right. Well, again, thank you, audience. Thank you guys so much for participating, and we'll see you all next Monday.
Okay, Matt, stick around. We're gonna go say goodbye, everybody. Peace out.